element I faced yesterday was the debates. They were quite insightful and very vibrant young people who are able to articulate issues that are affecting our community, especially the climate. I remember right now we're having climate adaptation and climate mitigation, and recently we had a lot of floods in Kenya. So I believe it is a call to us as right holders and also right holders mobilizers to influence this process in our grassroots.
Hi everyone. Uh, Yesterday I learned many tools for the last exercise for the grid debate. It's very important. I see the different communication for each group. It's in the governance process, the involvement of youth in the governance is very important for me. I think for me we can make that in Central African Republic also. Thank you.
You're trying to tell us the youths in the Central African Republic are not that involved in governance and leadership, democratic governance and leadership.
The governance democracy leadership in Central African Republic is the big challenge for the youth. I think it's important to be recruit in the experience with your youth cafe. In our partnership, we create the different capacity building in this thematic is very important for us to organize maybe the advocacy to involve them the youth organization in CIA.
Thank you so much.
So yesterday a lot of things stood out for me, but I can say one of the things that I took home was on the digital tools in democracy. I realized that living the digital era, there's still a lot that we need to do as youth, and also just being particular about women, the gender gap that is there in technology, and how are we going to embrace technology in the right way for us to push the discourse of technology. And I was also linking it to the issue of the last panel that we had about the leadership and how we can elect our leaders. How can we bring in technology so that we have many youth participating in that process and not like having that discussion of year in, year out that youths we are not voting, youths we are not participating in this process. How do we now digitalize everything and ensure that we are able to have the voices of the youth coming on table in the right way that they feel they're not being inconvenienced. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So you feel digitalization of the voting process will get rid of the voters' apathy? Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for your contribution, Madam.
Hi, everyone. What I took home yesterday was the experiences that the candidates who, let me just say, they failed to win the seats they were vouching for during elections. What stood out particularly was how they handled failure. Each one of them had a comeback strategy, and I found that very intriguing, very creative. For me, it wasn't just lessons learned when you failed to contest, when you failed in elections. For me, it was just lessons learned for failure, generally about how you handle failure in life, how you come back stronger, how you emerge more powerful than the way you were before. So that for me was very, very impactful.
Thank you so much. So clearly that session, that panel discussion during for the elections candidates and the aspirants wasn't that boring as someone said.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. My take home was on democracy. Something that I observed and that I learned is that the countries in Africa, they are in infant stage of their democracy. And what are we doing about it? Since we have recognized that we are in the infant stage, when an infant, you have to take care of an infant for him or her to grow to be an adult. So for us as youth of Africa, us as the voice of Africa, we need to stand up for the freedom that we have. We should not misuse the freedom that we have to attain the democracy, but we have to stand in one voice for us to fight the autocracy in Africa. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yesterday we learned about the future of youth in digital governance, and I was impressed with the point that some of the youths don't access internet or phones easily. But if phones and internet are available to them, youth will play a more significant role in shaping the future of digital governance with greater opportunities for participation, representation, and decision making. And another thing is inclusive governance. So this one will help to prioritize that all youth have equal access to opportunities regardless of their background, location, and socioeconomic.
Thank you so much for that. Anyone else who'd like to volunteer and give us a recap of yesterday's presentation that was impactful to you? This table, anyone?
Nashukuru kwa wakati huu. Naamini ya kwamba nitawasilisha ujumbe ipasavyo, isipokuwa labda mwenzetu pale. Licha ya kwamba vijana tuko wengi nchini Kenya, hatusomi katika kurasa moja, kwa sababu kila mmoja ana sera zake. Badala yake tuje pamoja ili tujumuishe na kufanya mikakati ili tuboreshe labda maisha yetu, na haswa katika nyanja ya siasa. Hatujawahi kuja pamoja. Kwa sababu gani? Kuna chuki miongoni mwetu. Iwapo mmoja wetu atakuwa akiwania labda kiti fulani ama kiti cha uongozi fulani, hatuwezi tukampigania yeye. Tunaenda kwa wale wengine ambao tunasema wamejikita sana na wana miaka mingi sana na hawana sera kwa vijana. Licha ya wao wenyewe kusema kwamba tungependa vijana waongoze, ama wanasema kwamba sisi vijana ni viongozi wa kesho, lakini hatupati nafasi. Sisi vijana tunachukiana tena sana na sijui itagoma lini. Nashukuru.
Thank you so much. So we must come together for us to properly see the change in our society. Thank you. Thank you so much. Anyone else who'd like to, the ones who have come in now, we are, okay, over here.
Good morning, everyone. So yesterday also I got an opportunity to learn and take home something very important. I knew and learned that democracy and climate action are two things that are hand in hand. They work together, they go together. I realized that without democracy and without climate action, it's hard for us to operate in this world. For instance, when I went back and relaxed during the night, I started internalizing what I learned, and I realized that there's nothing you can tell people who are scorching under the sun. There's nothing you can tell people who might be freezing because of poor climate. So, as leaders or as a leader, in leadership and governance, you need to make people comfortable. You need to ensure that a lot of things happen. If it means agriculture, production of food and all that, people must, a country that is hungry is not worth leadership. So climate action and also democracy, I learned that they go hand in hand. And I also knew that uniting as youths There's power in the youth age. There's a lot of power, there's a lot of energy. And when I was thinking about it, I even thought about what the Bible says, that the youth are the ones with the power. So I think from here, as a person with disability, I've been able to know that we are also part of the solution. We are also the actors of change, and from this point, we are going to champion for change in our society so that our community gets to accept and remove the isolation, the discrimination part of it, and we be part of the society. Thank you.
Thank you so much. A round of applause to everyone for making a contribution today. So today we have an exciting activities that we have lined up for the whole day. And more so in the afternoon, we'll have a World Cafe. That's really exciting. Might not be equally, I hope it will measure up to the debate that was moderated by Mr. Brian, but it will be an exciting thing. So if we can dive right into our program for today, we have a presentation from Mr. Joseph Oduor. He has stepped out. Yes. Okay. So if we could just carry on to the next presentation as we wait for him to come in. Under digital tools in democracy by God Bless Otubure from the Ready to Lead Africa, and as well as we have a, is he online already? Has he logged in? Okay. Oh, he's here. Okay. Karibu sana Bwana Joseph Oduor. So we'll hear from Mr. Joseph Oduor as we also try and check in virtually if he is, God bless, has logged in. So Bwana Joseph Oduor is from the Leaders for Leaders champion, and he has a presentation and a case study presentation about from his organization what they have been doing, and if we could kindly like listen to him. And Karibu Bwana Joseph.
Mjamboni, mlilala salama? I'll connect. I hope you did enjoy your conference yesterday, and you'll also be that vibrant today also. Is it possible? By a show of hands, let's just wave in the air. I know that it's a bit cold. Do you have an artist in the room? Msanii? Msanii hahitaji license, so kwa njia ya kuimba. We have one. Oh, it's okay. Umejua hivi ndio venye tunapotezanga hata opportunity. Huwezi jua kuna visa imetegea tu jina ya mtu na uko hapa, si unaona? Yani we want to be creative when there's opportunity, but we don't want to be creative when there's no opportunity. Which one should come first? The opportunity or the ability? Huh? Empowerment. So I'll be taking you through one of the projects that we do in Kisumu and also in our other chapters, that is Siaya and Homa Bay. We are an organization that is formed and was formed with young activists in Manyata Popular Settlement. And through that, we managed to register and we became legal. It wasn't very easy for us to have the name because we were asked, are you a political institution or are you an activist institution? And the unfortunate part is like some of our members were very active in issues of good governance in Kisumu, and they were known because they were always seen in the media. So when we were getting into the office, we were like celebrities who are like against the government. So we did our best, though it was a struggle, but through God we managed to register. and I'm here today to represent my people. I hope they'll be well represented. Kisumu is in the Western Kenya, and we are the only Luo spoken and installed software. If you install it, you'll really enjoy it. So make sure you install that software before you leave this workshop today. So as you can see, he's a young man who is very happy to be youthful. The only unfortunate thing that youth ends, and I'm about to end my youth. I'm an urbanist, Pan-Africanist, and also a governance enthusiast. I've worked with different organizations on issues of good governance, youth participation, and sustainable development. How many minutes do you have so that I don't? So Leaders for Leaders Champion is a community-led based organization which is anchored on dignity, equality, justice, and active citizenry for its people with its people. Takes pride in meaningful involvement for good governance, just leadership, and accountability. The organization takes into consideration the inclusion of youths, women, and people with special needs in day-to-day leadership and governance. Structures through offering a platform that provides spaces for their voices to be heard. It drives its connotation on the need for each one to realize and practice leadership in each aspect of existence. In short, taking charge with the unity and solidarity to address matters that are challenging us as well as growing together. This is the philosophy we advocate on and represent. Some of the reasons why we started this organization was one, inadequate proper governance, corruption and accountability issues, inadequate empowerment centers, absence of vibrant youth structured leadership in the grassroots, low implementation of youth, women, and persons with disability policies, low participation and inclusion of people living with special needs in leadership and governance, low recognition and appreciation of champions, heroes, and innovators, need for more health and gender equality champions. We have a motto, which is ability is a tool, and our mission is to take charge of leadership by having programs that transform for a productive engagement and development. The vision is to bring inspiration, empowerment, information, innovation to every leader and have a transformative leadership. Our core values are integrity, trustworthy, teamwork, equality, and dignity. So today, on one of the projects that we did launch some months ago, called Democracy and Youth. It's under our thematic area, just leadership, good governance, and accountability. We have two thematic areas, that is just leadership, good governance, and accountability. And our second thematic area is on SDG implementation and the new urban agenda. Why do we say new urban agenda? SDG is coming to an end in 5 years' time. And you realize that SDGs are 17 goals, and the new urban agenda has 10 principles. And in the 10 principles, we have the new aspect called the local governance and public participation. In the 17 SDG goals, we didn't have the goal of local governance and public participation. And remember, this is the platform, and this is where the trajectory of change comes, because this is where the resources are placed, and this is where the policies are also placed to implement what is needed for the community. The background of the project, Democracy and Youth Participation. The youth bulge currently being experienced globally has also engulfed the Kenyan nation. Kenya boasts a youthful population with over 70% of its population below age of 35. The Kenyan constitution defines youth as a person between the age of 18 and 35. It is therefore forms a critical population block that cannot be ignored in matters of governance, leadership, and development. Records from the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties, ORPP 2022, notes that youth constitute only 35% of political parties membership. In a country where anyone 18 years old is eligible to get national identification and voters card, such representation is low. It is therefore rests on practitioners in youth space to engage and institute means and system to enhance youth meaningful participation within political parties, because it's only through political party membership that they get legitimacy to participate in party politics and also receive funds under the Political Parties Act number 11 of 2021. Though the Constitution permits one to contest as an independent candidate in an election, candidacy through political parties remain the preferred avenue for consisting election. The justification of this project, according to Interparliamentary Union IPU report on youth participation in national parliaments, the global proportion of MPs aged under 30 has aged up to 2.6% in 2021. Kofi Annan Foundation work on democratic governance and young people globally further highlights the following findings. 6% of parliamentarians globally are below 35 years. 57% of world's voting population are young people. 66% of young people globally think the government does not care about what they think. Do your government care about what you think? Hello? Do your government care about what you think? Or there's no government where you come from? However, with 50% of the world's population being under 30, this represents a sizable deficit in political representation of young people worldwide. It is therefore shows a pattern of systemic discrimination, marginalization that has come to define youth involvement in Kenya across the world. The great energies and the creativity of young people must henceforth be harnessed so that they can make meaningful contribution to the change agenda in the country. We must all at times remember the words of the UN Secretary General Kofi Annan that any society that does not succeed in tapping into the energy and creativity of its youth will be left behind. The objective of this project were four. One is to ignite youth positive attitudinal change towards democratic process. Second one, understand the perception of youth on democratic governance process in the country. Third one, build proactive and responsive advocates of democracy. Fourth one, kickstart meaningful involvement of youths in democratic governance and pledge commitment to it. So this fourth one, we are doing a campaign under this democracy and youth participation, and it's called I Pledge. And we have managed recruiting 200 brand ambassadors in Kisumu County with a target of 2,000, and also to upscale it to the nationwide so that we can have people who are pledging to commit on good governance, just leadership, and accountability. Will you be able today to pledge with me on good governance, accountability, and just leadership? With a show of hand for those who are willing to pledge with me. Thank you. So in this our project, we also conduct online sessions and stakeholders engagement and also community and youth dialogue. And through this, before our sessions, we do pre-survey and post-survey. And I believe we can do a practice in this also. Today, how many managed to vote in the last general election by a show of hands? Oh, you didn't vote in the last general election on your country? You voted? Oh, great. So what was some of the reasons why you voted? We can start.
One of the reasons that I voted was because I wanted to take part in, decisions that will matter to me personally as a young person, in the kind of a leader that I wanted to have. Yeah.
Were you able to be paid to vote?
I didn't manage to get anything in terms of payment, but I was promised.
In Kenya, we always say kutingiza miti, ama mkusikia hiyo. And in our area, we call it yuko jamna. So you realize that people are always saying that leo tunatingiza zambarao wapi? Ati itakuwa kwa kina nani? Si unajua saa. So you realize you'll get a lot of women and young people who are already there in group stalking. Then it's unfortunate that this happens. The mheshimiwa comes and says that line ya vijana huku, ya wamama huku. So after giving different lines, then a very able man will be there giving something. Has anyone ever received anything here? Let's just be honest. Has anyone ever received something here? Let's just be honest. Because we the young people, we the women ndo tunasemanga masaa ni machache. Saa, mheshimiwa angalia saa. You see? Umeongea vizuri, you've talked very well mheshimiwa. Lakini sasa tunaendaje? Kwa Kijaluo tunasemanga iwe hewa nadi, unatuacha aje? So, this side, who managed to vote? Oh, let's start with you.
I think for me, it's a responsibility. I take voting as one of the ways through which I can get my voice heard. So then voting gives me that avenue.
Did you support any woman in the last campaign?
My MP, of course. Yeah.
She managed to...
And she actually got in. Jessica Mbalo. That's in Makueni County. So Kibwezi East constituency.
The token of appreciation.
So for me, I voted. First, I was excited. It was my first time ever voting. So I actually had to go and vote. And I also knew it's my right. But at the end of the day, I knew my vote is not going to count because the elections are already predetermined. So the excitement is the only thing that made me to go and vote. But if the trend continue, I'm not sure if I'll queue again. Yeah.
As we come to conclusion of this, do we believe that where we come from, we are having a democratic governance, leadership, or aristocratic? Somebody from here?
I can say it's a mixture. Aristocratic and at the same time democratic, because at some specific areas you can see truly someone has won, and at times you can see someone has been defeated. But to us, the voters, we vote, but when those votes are counted, it gets altered, and we have no options at times but to follow, because if you follow, maybe you can face the consequences, either individually, the group, or even the community at large. Thank you.
So let me ask, I've realized something from that statement. There's fear and there's courage. So do we want to be courageous to languish in poverty and in suffering with bad governance? Or do we want to fear the wrath that comes with the government? Or this side? Any reactions?
Well, I think the problem that we have as a country is that we have politicians for leaders instead of having leaders for politicians.
Kiongozi.
You see, unless people don't understand the meaning, aristocracy means politics belonging to a certain family. And I know where it's coming from, because when you look at our country or any other country in Africa, you find that some ruling families maintain their lineage. Even Raila Odinga, whom you support, the father was the vice president, if you remember well. So the issue is, I don't think aristocracy is there, because anywhere in the world, wherever you go, if your father was in a certain profession, there is a likelihood that the son will be in that profession. That is a fact. If your father was in the military, there's a 90% chance of you being there. So in politics, where people get elected, they have to work hard and they have to get there in those positions by merit. So I would say we have a democratic system. But about the issue about whether we can have leaders in politics, it depends with how we define our political spaces. Our political spaces, are they only restricted to the party and the legislative processes, or are they also inclusive of the administrative processes? Because we forget that many decisions in our country are actually not made by politicians. They are made by administrators, by civil servants, whom none of us has elected, but they've been appointed through a process that is checkered at best. So how do we also resolve that, in my opinion? Because politicians will come and go. After 2 years, you might find that it comes and goes, but the PS will remain there. The secretaries will remain there, and they are the ones who make the decision. The politician kazi yake ni kwenda tu pale mbele na kuongea. So how do we resolve that in the long run?
Counties also, and we have the different deputies for the National Assembly. The process in accountabilities in CRR is very different for this presentation. Maybe for me, I want to give me three good practices of accountabilities. Your deputies is calm in the communities to organize maybe the sessions to give the impression in the law, the voting the laws in the different maybe the framework of the deputy be. Yeah, is that?
Thank you for the question. I'll
You
try to
understand?
answer. Yeah, I'll try to answer it. Then you'll also chip in if it's possible. uh, one of the best practices that I appreciate our Kenyans and also our forefathers is participation and being organized, coming out, and living the true dream. This is what made it possible for Kenya to be independent. Then, secondly, we can't say that we've not had bad leaders. We've had bad leaders, we've had bad regimes. Even we may have some in future. But what has always made Kenya to be Kenya and also to shine in the globe is the resiliency that our people have. They believe that each and every day they will wake up, they will go to vote, they will go to the farms if they are farmers, they will go to spaces like this and give their voice. And the good thing about Kenyans, or the good thing where I come from, Western Kenya, we are people who come out in numbers and we fight injustice and inequality. So the passion of our community and the passion of our future as Kenyans has really made us to be a resilient community. That's why you see we managed to have our new constitution, 2010. We managed to do election after every 5 years, even though the electoral process has been having some issues, but we are still hopeful for a better community. Then moving forward, another best practice is youth involvement. You realize that our young people, though some of them did not participate, but there are those who are committed to participate for dignity, inclusion, and also equality. That's why today I stand before you. That's why you see there's existence of Youth Cafe with this leadership, and also the inclusion. From the look of things, if you look at Youth Cafe, there are women and there are also men, and they're also young. We living the reality, and we speaking what we mean and meaning what we speak. To my conclusion to this, I believe also in one of the best practices we can do in Africa is us speaking positivity and speaking life into us. We've suffered as a nation, we've suffered as a continent, we are still suffering with all the neocolonialism, the post-apartheid, post-colonialism. But at the end of the day, how can we create our narrative? How can we create our glory? How can we join hands together to form a borderless Africa where we don't require a visa, but we just require me seeing you the way I'm seeing you and saying, my brother, how are you? You're welcome. Thank you.
So I don't know if that answers your question, Emmanuel, about the best practices in selecting leaders according to what you had asked. But I just wanted to pick your brain and further understand the situation in Central African Republic. Were you saying that the deputy leader in the National Assembly is not from Central African Republic? He is from Central, but from a different community, if we can use, okay. So what would be the ideal situation for the young people in CAR or what's the interest for the young people in CAR, what's their wish?
Je pense que notre processus est vraiment différent. En ce sens, les députés, quand ils sont votés, ils ne reviennent pas rendre compte, même si c'est la jeunesse qui est majoritaire, ils ne reviennent pas pour rendre compte, même à la communauté. Des fois, ça fait, ils ont un mandat de 5 ans.
Just a sentence per sentence, yeah.
Yes, yes, okay. Okay, we just want to make sure we are, yeah.
All right, so he's saying within his country in CAR, what usually happens is that the
Les députés ne reviennent pas dans la communauté.
so
Pour
the
rendre compte,
deputies do not come from the community.
pour
How are
rendre
they
compte,
elected though?
yeah, oui.
They're elected or
Les
nominated?
députés, dans les processus de redevabilité, ils ne reviennent pas pour rendre compte.
So they don't come from. Oh la la. I'm lost. So they're not for or against.
Ils ne reviennent plus pour rendre compte en fait.
I'm lost. Okay, try in English kindly.
The deputy is not come again in the same communities to in the process for accountabilities to take the voice of the community. Maybe lorsqu'ils sont élus, ils partent directement à l'Assemblée et c'est fini. C'est après les 5 ans qu'il revient.
So he's not a representative, doesn't represent the community at all. That's what you're trying to say.
Ils sont votés. Ils sont votés au sein de la communauté, mais ils ne reviennent pas pour rendre compte.
So he is from the community.
Yes, yeah.
He is from the community, but he doesn't come back to the community to assist the community.
Yeah.
So in Swahili we say, "Kama ameenda." Like if he has won the election, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm out.
Is that?
Yes.
Is that?
So you want to bring him back to the community and make sure he's accountable. You want him to be accountable to the community as well.
Les jeunes, ce que nous essayons de faire, les jeunes ne demandent pas à ces députés vraiment de rendre compte et c'est ça qui pose un problème.
So the fact that the young people are not demanding for this particular deputy to be for or against them is one of the problems.
C'est ça.
So that's okay. Anyone who has a recommendation that would like to give to Emmanuel, Victor?
Emmanuel, I'm lost honestly, but then I don't want us to struggle around, you explaining again, because of course, then the point is that it might be an issue that is deeply entrenched within the constitution, that you may have to, as a country, it now takes the whole national approach of the country, the Central African Republic approach, to relook at the constitution itself on how to account. Like for us, Article 10 of our own constitution, that we take pride as one of the most liberal constitutions in the world, is giving us an opportunity to demand anything from whoever we elect. Under Article 10, we have the values of good governance. Public participation is key, and a key element. Accountability, transparency in operations of government is taken into consideration. You see, we even have an upcoming finance bill in Kenya, and I think you also have one there at this month. And we are supposed to have Article 118 of our Constitution, compelling Parliament to organize public participation. So that is where young people from all across this country will get an opportunity to interrogate the paper with the members of Parliament themselves, the committee in charge of Treasury and National Planning, you see? So it gives us that avenue. But then for you to hold your members accountable, it has to come from the Constitution. It has to be a serious constitutional amendment. I don't believe it will be a subtle approach where we do it in bits. It has to be a constitutional, something that is compelled constitutionally. Yeah.
And also I believe the young people need to own it. And if you own it and you demand it and you show up, because now when you approach the leaders and you tell them, according to our constitution demands that we need to have public participation, it will compel them to have it and get you involved. So if we can carry on with the program. Exactly, yes. So you need to demand it, and as long as you demand it, that's when it's given to you. But if you just sit there and be reluctant, then it's going to be the same and the same, and nothing's going to change. So, but with the electoral process, at the end of the day, they'll still have to come back to the people. They'll still have to come back to the people. So by the time they come back to the people and there's that already a shield that, no, if you're not going to do A, B, C, and D for us, then we're not going to put you. So we need to have that unity among ourselves. And once, like what our brother over there had mentioned earlier during the recap, if we have the unity among ourselves and say, we don't want that, we demand A, B, C, and D, then it's going to make sure, the leaders are going to now, hopefully, they're going to act on it.